Hey guys, Steve here. Today we're going to be doing a new entry in the strategy guide series. This entire series of videos, they all have similar thumbnails. They're intended to be viewed as one strategy guide, so I'm putting them all in the grand strategy playlist, and each video is just kind of an article that's comprising the strategy guide as a whole. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Today we're going to be talking about what I'm calling zoning destroyers. This type of destroyer is kind of exemplified by the IJN destroyer. So we got a game in the Asashio here. We've covered what I called capping destroyers. These are the type of destroyers that would get on caps and kind of get up there up close and personal. USN destroyers, the smoke sonar combo type destroyers of the UK and German lines. Those are all what I would consider the prototypical capping destroyers. These ones, we're going to be playing the caps. We're going to be attacking and defending the caps as our main goal, but we're going to be using our ship differently. We're going to be using our main strength of this ship, which is the torpedoes. We're going to use those torpedoes in a zoning manner. Zoning basically means area denial. We're attacking and controlling, or attacking and defending areas with our torpedoes. Yes, we're launching them with the intent to hit the ships that are pushing into those areas, but we're not going just for raw damage. We're going for control, map control. We're using the torpedoes as a tool that we have, a very strong tool when used properly to control areas of the map. So one of the reasons I picked this game is it has numerous examples of that. First up, though, we're getting on to B here. We're going to play this conservatively, and I am going to comment a little bit more in this game just because there's positioning issues that we can talk about. And I think talking about the role of the ship kind of works out talking about this game in particular. So we're getting on B. Yes, we're not a capping destroyer. Getting on caps is not our number one focus. But getting on here, testing the waters, perfectly acceptable. Number one, we're trying to get into a position where we can help spot. But we're staying on the southern end of the cap. We're keeping an eye on the map. We're looking where our support ships are. We're staying near our support ships, and then we're testing the waters. We're on B. We're saying, well, let's just see what happens. All destroyers need to constantly have an eye for capturing these objectives, particularly in domination mode. We'll cover capture the base mode in its own specific video coming up. The caps on those are primarily a score adjustment tool. They're not the primary score. It's kind of like the extra point in football as opposed to an actual touchdown. So it's part of the scoring, but it's not the main scoring. But domination mode, cap control is the most important part. Look at where those torps are, though. We're kind of zoning that Gneisenau. He's trying to push into B. We've captured B, so we're trying to defend it with those torpedoes. He's pushing in, and then, it's a salvo. He's way out there, so whether we hit him or not that big of a deal. But we're going to wind up hitting their destroyer, which just shows how far back and out of position he was. But here we got the Fubuki popping up now. He almost blasts us here with these torpedoes. It looks, I don't know if these were zoning torps intended for us. I think it's probably trying to torpedo the battleship behind us. But this is kind of the beauty of these torpedoes. He is also trying to prevent that battleship from pushing into A. Whether he's calling them zoning torps in his mind or not, it doesn't matter. He didn't know we were there, but by trying to control this area, he gone. That's that destroyer we're talking about way up north there. But by trying to control the area and push that battleship out or potentially sink him if he moves into A, he also has the ancillary benefit of kind of torping a valuable area, and because it's a valuable area, there happened to be a destroyer, i.e. myself, in there as well. So he almost got either me for sure, which would have been a major win for him, tier 5 destroyer killing a tier 6 destroyer right off the bat, extremely valuable. He could have potentially killed the battleship behind us, could have got a double strike. So those are kind of zoning torpedoes. Whether he would have called them that or not, who knows. But hopefully, by talking about torpedoing these areas and controlling these areas, exerting influence on these areas, that's pointing out, or that's my intention, that's how I'm intending to point out the role of these ships. Yes, I could easily have snuck through there, gotten back behind there, torp the Gneisenau, torp whatever that other red ship is way of the north. That's typical Japanese destroyer play. That's typical throw behavior. It's not good destroyer play. But we're trying to control B, so that's why we launched those torpedoes at Gneisenau. We had that Fubuki in the cloud, and we had battleships or other ships behind them, so we figured let's torp that area, and then maybe we'll get the Fubuki, maybe we'll get what ended up being the Scharnhorst behind them. You know, you never know, but we're torpedoing areas, not necessarily a given ship, although sometimes it'll be important. Scharnhorst, we're kind of forced to flee here, playing it very dangerously, letting him get this close to us. So we're forced to flee there. We get a defensive salvo off. This sequence here is going to look very dickish to you guys. I'm going to explain this to you. Number one, I'm going to hit this guy near me twice. First, I'm going dead south into the smoke. His engine's dead, so I'm going to hit him at full speed. And you can see as we hit him, that generates the internal turbines on his ship. They start moving. That helps his disabled engine, and now he's moving. So I'm pushing him out of the smoke because he was just sitting there, all jokes aside. He was just sitting there not understanding that Scharnhorst will proxy spot him when he's 3 kilometers away from us. The Scharnhorst will kick the crap out of both of us if we're just sitting in that smoke. So that's why I shoved him out of there. Looks like a dickish play. Now I'm going to shove him again. This really looks like a dickish play. I understand that. He's shooting his guns, though, and he was about to go around the left-hand side of that smoke, as is the Scharnhorst. He's trending right to left if we view the Scharnhorst again. So had I not pushed that guy out of there, he would have continued to shoot most likely, and he would have gotten spotted. The Scharnhorst could have potentially killed him. I'm definitely not a saint when it comes to this game. My teammates will frustrate me often. I'll launch torpedoes at them. Sometimes I'll even ram them out of frustration. That was not it, all right? So if you wanted to sit there thinking, wow, what a dick, fine, but that's why I wanted to explain that play. And this upcoming sequence here, I think there's a lot of good things to learn from and also some mistakes to learn from here. So position-wise, why I'm going here, we got 2 grayed out ships, and I'm thinking maybe they're going to trend into our base, and actually this New Mexico was pushing into our base. When you say someone's pushing in your base or into your spawn, it's basically saying they cross over the center line of the map and continue into the side that you spawned in. Usually you want to play on your own spawn, so pushing into the enemy spawn is disadvantageous. So I came over here to spot those 2 grayed out ships, and now we're in a good position to zone this particular cap. If these guys want to sit on here and just try and cap this, well, we can keep resetting them with our guns, and we can keep launching torpedoes in here. So this is a very good position for us to be. We're going to exert our control. We're going to maintain control of this cap by being in this position. But as this play develops, I'm going to begin to think, man, we're beginning to become out of position. But just to explain this play here, we do shoot. We're going to reset the Scharnhorst. That's intentional. We do have the smoke ready to go. But again, basically I'm firing torpedoes in here. I'm going to keep resetting these guys with guns. The guns are going to do next to no damage. People that only like high damage games and torpedoes aren't going to really understand the reasoning behind this play. Those of you that are interested in winning, though, we're resetting these ships, and I'm frankly trying to scare them off. We're in between on torpedo reloads, but they're typical battleship players, no doubt. I'm a typical destroyer player, no doubt. They're going to be afraid of getting torpedoed, and I'm a dangerous torpedo boat. So just by constantly reminding them that we're over here, we're just trying to push them off the cap. And it may seem kind of counterintuitive. There's a lot of destroyer plays that you'll see, or torpedo plays that you'll see on my channel, where we'll launch torpedoes and we'll go out of our way to not fire the guns because we don't want to tap them on the side of the skull and let them know that they're in major torpedo danger. Here, I want to keep reminding them, get off the cap, because we need these points coming in. Domination mode, each in a 3-cap domination mode game, a 3-objective, ABC type domination mode game. Each cap you control 3 points every 5 seconds. So not only are they preventing us from getting those 3 points every 5 seconds from being on the cap, because it's contested, we don't get those points for that cap. So they're preventing our accrual, but they're actually threatening to take that source of income away from us and flip it into their control. So that's a 6 point per 5 second swing if we allow them to flip this cap. So defending that cap is kind of one of the key objectives of this game. One of the reasons our team wins is because we do control that. But now that we've kind of pushed them out of there, our team's about to whittle the Scharnhorst, which was the main threat. We've scooted the New Mexico and the York out of A. They're kind of fleeing, deciding it's not worth trying to capture that. Now I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish I was more towards B. We're going to have some vision issues and some spotting issues for the next 3 or 4 minutes, and part of my main roles as a destroyer player is to provide that vision for our team. I'm fine with coming over here initially, but the problem is our entire team followed us over here. So we got one lone ship all the way to the north. He just died there, but he was in for sure a 3-on-1, potentially a 4 versus 1, 5 versus 1 type situation where he was destined to die. The rest of our team has followed us down here, so now we have basically no spotting of the middle of the map, and that's going to be a major problem. So, as I was playing this, I'm thinking, well, did I get out of position or not? I think coming over here, I was fine with what I did, but I just got a little too focused on just kind of passively scaring them off the base, resetting those. We got a lot of resets in, as you can see by the banners, and we'll continue to get those as the game goes on. From a scoring perspective and a game control perspective, we're doing fine, but positioning just kind of lost a little bit of focus, and now we got 3 grayed out ships where vision at this point in time of the game is extremely important. We don't have vision on those 3 of the 4 ships, so that's a major problem, and we're going to see here eventually, I think, we don't go up through that gap yet, but we will go through that gap, and the lack of vision almost costs us big. And frankly, if we weren't doing such a great job in terms of controlling the caps, controlling the score, this lack of vision could have potentially cost us the game. So we'll talk about that more as it pops up. But I like this game for the zoning, a lot of good examples of using the torpedoes to control areas rather than control or just kill certain ships. That's the main problem I have with your average Japanese destroyer player, is they say, okay, which battleship on the enemy team looks like it's probably the easiest to torpedo? All right, I got that battleship in mind. All I'm going to do for the rest of the game is launch torpedoes at that guy. And if I happen to hit him, then I'll find the next slowest battleship. Doesn't matter if they're parked on the moon, which usually those battleships are. And if you see a battleship on the enemy team parked on the moon, you whip out your Hubble telescope. Next thing you know, you pointed at the moon. You got your boy Michael Collins doing circle after circle around the moon for the entire match in his Udachi, just missing torp salvo after torp salvo, thinking he's having a heck of a game when he finally sinks him 12 minutes later. That's throw type behavior, like we pointed out again, a massive misplay. We need to be controlling the caps. Speaking of misplays, here's getting back to the lack of vision. This Indianapolis was allowed to cross large swatches of open water unspotted, and here we come around the bend, and he's within kill range for sure. I don't know if he just didn't have radar ready to go, or he didn't recognize, maybe he was already spotted and he didn't recognize someone else spotting him as we came around the bend, so maybe he didn't know he had an opportunity to kill us. Regardless, I thought I was dead playing that game. Luckily for us, we had a lot of points banked by controlling those caps early, because had we died there and the score could have been close, they could have potentially killed our team and won the game there. So we did get a nice tight defensive salvo off on the guy. We did get him there, but there was a lot of luck involved by getting out of that one. Anyway, hopefully that gives you guys an idea about these zoning type destroyers. And I mentioned the Japanese are kind of the prototypical. The more you set your destroyer up as a torpedo boat, the more adept at playing this particular zoning roles. Keep in mind, with these strategy guides, when we're talking about ship roles, those are kind of just archetypal poles that you can kind of guide your builds towards. You don't have to strictly play them. You can play hybrids of the different roles. So keep that in mind. Anyway, if you liked it, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming out all the time. Questions, comments, leave below, and we'll see you all later. All right, peace.